A senator from Washington.
Madam President, I come to speak before the vote today, but I do hope that all of my colleagues heard the senator from Oklahoma, heard his powerful words, especially the last several minutes, and pause and think about it. They were critically important for each one of us to think about, and I thank the senator for all of his work on this and for his powerful statement just now. But Madam President, if you want to understand why people can't stand politics, watch how many Republicans vote against this bill. Some of my colleagues do not seem to understand this is not a game. There is a war happening right now in Ukraine where our allies are being gunned down and Putin is rolling his tanks into their homeland. There is a war happening right now between Israel and Hamas. There are civilians at this very moment caught in the crossfire. There are partners in the Indo-Pacific wondering if they can count on us. And let's not forget, there is the border, the site of countless Republican photo ops, where we have a genuine need of reforms and resources. That's the moment we're in. That's the moment that this package is meant to address. And by voting it down, Republicans will be telling our allies our word cannot be trusted, telling dictators like Putin that our threats are not serious, telling the world American leadership has been hollowed out by Republican obstructionism. And let's be clear, they will be telling the American people they don't want to solve the crisis at the border, they want to campaign on it. Because if you genuinely believe something is a crisis, you take any step you can to address it. You don't let a fire burn because Donald Trump wants to campaign on ashes. We've heard a lot of talk from Republicans about the border, about countering the Chinese government, about supporting Israel and standing up to Putin. But governing is about action. Governing is about compromise. Governing is about standing behind your word in order to solve problems. And I'm sorry to say that despite the talk from many Republicans about continuing to support Ukraine, they have yet to join us in actually voting for serious aid to Ukraine since last Congress. As the minority leader admitted yesterday, this was all because his side, Republicans, insisted Ukraine aid be tied to border policies. A standard, by the way, that they have not applied to any of our other allies, and one that tells every country who would partner with us, you better hope you don't become leverage for an unrelated partisan demand. It was an absurd request. I have said so from the start. But Madam President, a lot hangs in the balance. So Democrats listened to them and took them at their word and have been glued to the negotiating table in order to address this problem. And I want to thank from the bottom of my heart to my colleagues, to Senator Sinema, to Senator Langford, to Senator Murphy. They worked so long and hard to hammer out a deal on border policies, one that is, quite frankly, more conservative than many of us would have liked, including myself. But I worked tirelessly with my vice chair, the senior senator from Maine, to ensure that the border resources were there to help address this problem. And through listening and compromising and working together in good faith, we reached a bipartisan agreement to fund the border policies that others negotiated. And now, after saying they had to have both of these in the package in order to support it, Republicans are now poised to kill it. Republicans went from we demand border policy changes to no policy is needed. They went from we need time to look at this bill to dead on arrival in less than 24 hours. They went from the border is a crisis right now to it can wait till November. In the blink of an eye, and will not support the bipartisan policy nor the bipartisan funding. What changed? What changed? Well, Donald Trump ordered Republicans to kill the bipartisan border deal. Trump has not been subtle. He has literally said, please blame it on me if this deal goes down in flames, and there's no action on the border. And Madam President, we're going to see today just how many Republicans fall in line, and it may well be most of them. But Madam President, I would remind my colleagues, the American people are the ones who sent us here, not Donald Trump. They are the ones we should answer to, not Donald Trump. And I think we all know the folks back home sent us here to solve problems, not to block bipartisan solutions. They want us to work together. They want us to make progress, even when it isn't perfect. And frankly, if that doesn't convince you to support this bill, if you are still thinking about what's good politics, not good policy, I still don't know why you would listen to Donald Trump, because solving problems, that is good politics. Maintaining America's national security, that is good politics. So I hope all of my Republican colleagues will think about this vote carefully. How long will you give Donald Trump a permanent veto over whatever policy he decides he doesn't like or isn't helpful to him personally? I have to ask, what is the point of being a senator if you let Donald Trump make all of the decisions for you? It wasn't so long ago that Donald Trump incited an actual insurrection. We all had to flee or be barricaded ourselves in our offices. Did any of my colleagues on the other side think you would let that same man dictate what policy you could or couldn't even debate? It was just 3 short years ago that some of you on the other side voted, and many of us voted to remove Trump from office. So I ask my colleagues, please, listen when I say today is a critical vote. Today is a day to decide. Today is a vote about whether we, as United States senators, will keep our word when we negotiate with each other. Today is a day we, as United States senators, will vote to show we will work together to stand up for American interests and national security at home and abroad. And today is a day we as senators show the world we are a country who stands behind our word and stands with our allies and works past politics to do what is right for this country and the people we were sent here to represent. I hope my colleagues will think about that long and hard. And then I sincerely hope they will do the right thing and abandon the MAGA politics. There is so much work we have left to do together moving forward, and you should all know me well enough to know I'm always ready to work together, not against one another. So, Madam President, even if this vote fails, I am determined to not let partisanship win the day. We are going to try again to pass a package that gets our allies the aid they so desperately need. And I hope, before we get to that every senator in this body listens to what the senator from Oklahoma said and pauses and thinks about what their word means to the people who sent them here to do the right thing for our country. Thank you, Madam President. I yield the floor.